He who fails to plan plans to fail. Okay. Basically, if you don't make a plan in your project, you don't make an M&D plan in your project, you are essentially setting yourself up for failure. My name is Mike, and welcome to today's session. So the first step that you need to do as an M&D officer or as a person that is developing the M&D plan is to understand the program context, the program overview. What is the program trying to achieve? What is the background? What is the goal? What is the target population? What is the geographical scope of this project? Okay. The other thing that you want to do also is to engage key stakeholders. As you're developing an M&D plan cannot be developed by one person. You need to have interactions with different stakeholders. Could be the program officer, could be the beneficiaries, the funders, the partners, so that you just clarify the expectations and the priorities for that particular project. So an example that we're going to use in this video is the literacy improvement program. Okay, so the project really focusing on literacy improvement program where you gather data on literacy levels in schools, identify under-deceived communities, underserved communities, and also outline the program specific goals such as 30% in 5 years, right? So that is what the program is all about. Okay. Now, when you understand that, you need now to go to the next step, which is now developing your mail, um, you def- your mail purpose, or you define your mail purpose and of the plan, the mail plan that you're trying to develop. What is the purpose of you developing a mail plan in the first place? So you need to document that in your mail plan. Okay, you need to articulate why the mail plan is essential for the project. Okay, you need to develop the purpose for the M&E plan in relation to the program. An example of what could be the mail or the purpose of the mail is, or the aim of the mail is, so, for example, the program of the literacy level that we're using is so they just measure the success of the teachers' training in improving student literacy outcome and ensure that donors receive timely updates of on the progress. Right. So it's very clear. It's a clearly defined purpose that helps ensure that all MND are and directly support the program success. So once you develop that, you document that. So the other thing also that you may want to put are the key principles of the MEL plan. What is it that you're trying to do? Once you develop that, now you go to the next step where you develop the result-based management framework. Now, this is only done if your project did not develop that during the project proposal phase. Okay, if during the project proposal phase you never developed a theory of change, you never developed a logical framework or the result framework, then you need to develop that in your mail plan. Okay. If it's already developed there, then you can just lift it and put it in the mail plan. However, if it's not developed, then you have to develop it now from the scratch. Develop your theory of change, develop your result framework, develop your logical framework to just map out the progress, the program expected outcome. Okay, so that's it. You identify some of the key activities, the outputs, the outcome, and the impact. Okay, the other thing, you may also want to list some of the assumptions and risks that are associated with each level, right? So basically, that's it. If you need more information on how to develop a theory of change, I'm going to create a video on how to develop a theory of change, how to develop a result framework, and also how to develop a logical framework. So these are very, very important result-based management framework or tools that you must have in your mail plan. So the question is, should you have the theory of change, the result framework, and the logical framework in one M&D plan? Yes, you can. Some of these things, however, it's best to have one or two. If you go for the theory of change, then you can have a result framework. If you go with the theory of change, you can have a theory of change and a logical framework. If you have a logical framework, you can have a logical framework and the result framework. However, you decide based on the need or based on uh, how you want to explain your results. Basically, you can have two or three. However, you can even have one. You can even have a theory of change in your mail plan. It's enough. Okay. So basically, that's that. The next step is the performance indicators. So here you need to develop performance indicators. Okay. What are performance indicators? These are measurable values used to track progress towards the program objectives. You need to develop these things because they provide evidence whether the program is achieving its goal. So there are quite a number of indicators. You have the indicators, you have the outcome, the outputs indicators. Um, we also have the outcome. We also have the impact indicators. Some of the key things that you need to ask yourself, the key questions that you have to ask yourself as you're developing your indicators is, what does success looks like? Okay, imagine you need to ask yourself that question. What is success? What does it look like? So once you understand that, you'll be able to develop your indicators. And how are they going to be measured? You can't just develop an indicator and you fail to measure it. So you need to ask yourself, how will I measure that indicator? And then also, the must are the indicators. Okay, you should watch some of the previous videos on how I broke down how to develop the indicators. I think you should just go out, you'll be able to see a video that I made on how to develop indicators. So now, how do you develop indicators? That's in a summary. You need to align them with objectives. Each indicator should be directly linked to the program objective or program goal. Okay? You need to define your indicators. You need to make sure that they're clearly defined. Okay? The other thing that you also need to set targets. An indicator should have a target. How much do you want to achieve? If you're going to conduct meetings, how many meetings do you want to achieve? How many meetings do you want to conduct? Okay? The other thing that you also need to know, each indicator should have a data source. Where are you going to collect that data from? Are you going to use surveys? Are you going to use attendance meetings, whatever, depending on the indicator that you're trying to look at? Also, you need to have baseline. An indicator should have a baseline. Try by all means to have baselines for every indicator that you've set, because that will help you tell a story on what has changed after the project has come to an end or after the project implementation. What is it that has changed? Okay, have baseline. Remember to disaggregate your data. Have gender sensitive indicators. If you're looking at people, please make sure there's sex male, there's gender disaggregation, male or female. If you're looking at age, you need to categorize them, maybe breastfeeding mothers, 49. So have that information disaggregated by age, by gender, by location, depending on the nature of the project. The next step that you need to do when you're developing a MEL plan is you need to have a data management and analysis section. Here you need to choose the data document. If you're going to go with primary, you need to have surveys. You need to document how you're going to do your surveys. How you need to have reports, dashboards, databases, administrative records, and all these things. You need to document your surveys, checklists, tests, mobile apps, COBOL tool to collect the data. Qualitative, you're going to use interviews, focus group discussion, observation guides, case study templates. The other thing that you need to do is how do you collect your data? The frequency of data collection. Okay, are you going to go with the real or are you going to do the periodical? So real time means daily. Like right now I'm talking, data is being collected. Whatever I'm saying is being collected, it's being captured as data. So that's real time. Then you have periodic, where you do maybe monthly, weekly, quarterly. And then you also have baseline and endline or midterm. So depending on the nature of the project, you have to pick what works for you. And you have to explain why you've picked that in your M&D plan so that if you were to share that document with somebody else, they will not say, oh, this guy is picked a monthly because of ABCD, because the resources are not for a daily or real-time data collection. So all these things have to be documented in your M&D plan. Remember, an M&D plan is something that is not written on stones. So meaning if there's any changes, you have to come and update your M&D plan. It's a living document. Changes will be made as you move on, as you're implementing your project. And you realize maybe certain areas are not compatible with this. You come back to your M&D plan, make adjustments, go in the field again. Data management, which is now that you've collected your data, let's say for example, now how do you store your data? You need to document that. Are you going to use databases, digital or physical filing? How are you going to measure, ensure that your data is of quality? You need to mention that. If you're going to do trainings, if you're going to do trainings, if you're going to do validations, if you're going to do standardization, you need to document those processes in your M&D plan. There's quality, there's access control, there's compliance. You need to document that in your M&E plan. Processing, how you clean your data, you need to document that. If you're going to do analysis, you need to document do is reporting. How are you going to report that data that you have collect dashboards? Are you going to have tailored reports or feedback groups? You need to document all that information in your data management section of the M&D plan. Okay, and you need to create like a simple create a simple table that's to do your data collection plan. Okay, you put there and say, okay, we have this indicator, the data source is ABCD. The tool that is needed is this. Put that. You can even put a timeline also, depending on the project needs. Also, clarify the roles and responsibilities. So here you need to identify the roles that are required for M&D activities, such as, for example, it has the analyst as well as the MEL coordinator. So you need to Clarify on who is doing what so that it's easy for people to understand and follow. You need to design an evaluation plan. You need to document whether you're qualitative or quantitative. If it's quantitative, you put methods that you can use to do a quantitative a quantitative evaluation. Whether you're going to do the randomized controlled trials, you need to mention. If you're going to do the pre and post test, you need to mention that. If you're going to use surveys or questionnaires, you need to document that in your in the evaluation plan of the M&E plan. Focus group discussion, document that. Case studies, document how you're going to do a case study. Document review, document that. Okay. Responsibilities. If you're going to go with internal evaluators, the program staffs, for you need to document what is their responsibility, what is their role. If you're going to go with the internal, evaluators. If you're going to go with external evaluators, obviously an expanded expert is going to come in to do the midline. So you need to come up with develop all those things so that the external evaluator will have access to some of these information and they can be able to start the work. So document all these things, all these processes in your M&E plan. The other thing that you may want to document is the rationale or the expected outcome of that evaluation. What is that you're trying to achieve? You document, some of these things that you want to achieve. The expected outcomes, you document some of the expected outcomes as well, the clear, understanding of, maybe you want to just understand whether your program is working, is it bringing impact? So you want to demonstrate and document some of those information. The other thing, the next one is the integrating learning and adaptation management. So here you have to document how you're going to integrate learning and adaptive management. Are you going to conduct regular review meetings? You need to document that. How often are you going to conduct those? How often are you going to have the lessons learned? How often are you going to have the after action review? How often are you going to have, some of these meetings to just share the findings? How often are you going to do that? So you need to document all those things, all those strategies in your M&D plan section that is focusing on integration or on integrating learning and adaptive management. So document that information. Number 10, which is the um, communication plan. You need to have a communication plan in every M&E plan that you're developing. Okay. How are you going to share the findings with stakeholders? You need to document that. Okay. What type of information, what type of communication channels are you going to use? You need to document that. Who are your who are your key stakeholders? You need to document the key stakeholders and their need. The frequency of reporting or sharing information, you need to document that in your strategy. How often are you going to how often are you going to update this information? Is it going to be monthly, quarterly, milestone reports? Document all these nitty-gritties. Document this information on how you're going to do that. Another thing that you need to do, you need to assign roles also in the in the communication plan as well. MND, you give them a task. Okay, you guys are going to prepare the data and reports. The communication team, you're going to design and disseminate the materials. The program managers, you're going to find the stakeholders. Okay. The other thing that you will also want to do is you monitor and improve, right? You collect feedback based on your project. It's also part of communication. Whatever format that you're going to use, if it's going to be presentation, you can get feedback from there. You can monitor how the data is being disseminated, right? Those are some of the things that you need to do to include in your communication plan. This is just an example of a communication plan that you have to attach. You need to create a table that summarizes all the narrative information that you've highlighted. Come up with a table to say, okay, this stakeholder will give them this type of information in this type of format. The channel of communication is emails. We'll do this every month, and the person that will be responsible is the M&E. Voila, you are done with your communication plan in the M&E plan. You go to the step 11, which is focusing on identifying critical assumptions or risks. You need to identify the assumptions. Say, okay, if this thing is there, with all things equal, we'll hit our project, we'll hit our target when all things are constant, right? These are just assumptions. We are assuming that this is available, then we'll be able to hit our target, right? Then you also come up with risks. Okay, what are some of the dangers that may actually affect the MEL activities in terms of supporting the project to reach its target objective? So all these things need to be documented. The other thing that you also need to document are the mitigations. You have the risks. How are you going to mitigate those risks? You need to document all those processes in this section. The other thing that you may want to develop is a MEL activity schedule. Every activity that you're going to do, you need to document how when, who, what, all these things. Who's going to do that? You need to document that in your schedule and put some timelines. Okay, put some timelines and also put lessons. That is that. This is the last one, and then the bonus one is the budget. Obviously, you're gonna pick the activities, and then you cost the activities, and then you attach your budget as well as one of the last things in your MEL plan. So basically, this is how you develop a MEL plan. There are different formats, but these are some of the key steps that you have to take for you to develop your MEL plan. So I just wanted to share this information with you. But if you have any questions, if you need clarification with anything, please, my email address will be in the comment in the description of this video. Please feel free to reach out and I'll be able to provide support where necessary or where possible. Otherwise,